Everyone loves a happy ending, right? I mean, what's not to like about watching the hero save the day and ride off into the sunset to live out their days on a gumdrop ranch in a house made from gingerbread? Well, nothing, I guess.
Apart from the fact that we've seen it all a billion times before.
People love happy endings so much that there are plenty of incidences where test audiences have forced directors to change their vision for a bleak but interesting conclusion to Predictable Sunshine and Rainbows. And while they might put bums in seats, Predictable Sunshine and Rainbows are about as bland as Robert Pattinson in a beige suit eating a cucumber sandwich. Every so often though, a script with a more memorable ending slips through the Hollywood machine relatively unscathed, depicting something so close to our grim reality that it leaves you feeling sick to the stomach but totally satisfied. Let's take a look at 5 of my favourite depressing endings ever, and in case the title didn't give it away, there are plenty of spoilers ahead. An iconic indie thriller with a truly unique concept, Memento is the movie that brought Christopher Nolan to the masses. Released back in 2000 and starring Guy Pearce, the film follows Leonard, an insurance investigator who suffers from an unfortunate kind of amnesia that makes it impossible for him to retain recent memories. The amnesia first began after Leonard and his wife were attacked by home invaders. During the struggle, Leonard's wife was raped and murdered by one attacker while the other clubbed Leonard across the head, knocking him unconscious. On a mission to avenge the love of his life, Leonard does everything he can to track down her killer, but with a brain like a goldfish, he's forced to use a convoluted series of notes, Polaroids and tattoos to keep track of his progress. As we begin to piece together his story, we learn that Leonard has a contact called Teddy, that Teddy is helping him with the investigation, and that the killer they're looking for goes by the name of John G. To cut a long but incredible story short, in a gut-punching turn of events, it's revealed that Teddy is an undercover police officer who helped Leonard track down and kill John G over a year ago, but has been using him as his own personal hitman ever since. To add to that, Leonard's wife actually survived the attack at their home, but was later killed by Leonard himself after he mistakenly gave her too many shots of her diabetes medication because of his amnesia. Now that's one ending that definitely isn't sugar-coated. It's funny because diabetes. If you've ever watched my top 10 revenge movies video, and I'm not suggesting you do because I swear way too much in it, you'll know that I love Oldboy. Park Chan-wook's masterpiece and the second film in his revenge trilogy, Oldboy is based on a Japanese manga of the same name and centres around Odesu, I hope I'm saying that right, a pretty regular guy who's kidnapped and imprisoned in a room without explanation. Watching the news from his prison cell, he learns that his wife has been murdered and his young daughter taken away by authorities. Police consider him to be the prime suspect in the killing and assume that he's on the run. After 15 years, he's released into the world via a suitcase on a rooftop and told by an anonymous caller that he has 5 days to figure out why he was locked up. Struggling to come to terms with being a free man again, he meets a pretty young sushi chef and the pair gradually begin to fall for one another as they work together to solve the mystery. They even have sex. Fast forward an hour or two of fantastically crafted cinema and we discover that Odesu was locked up by Lee Woo-jin, a wealthy man who went to the same school as our hero, hence the name Oldboy. While at school, Lee Woo-jin was in an incestuous relationship with his sister that eventually led to her pregnancy. Odesu saw them kissing and casually spread a rumour around school, unintentionally causing Lee's sister to commit suicide. And in a twist that makes M. Night Shyamalan's I See Dead People look like it was written by a 2-year-old, it also turns out that the pretty young sushi chef Odesu has been intimate with since being released is actually his own estranged daughter. As part of his plan, Lee had the two hypnotised to fall in love with each other as soon as they met, and it worked a treat. He had sex with his own daughter and had no idea! Sorry, back in a sec, I just really need a shower. Seven is a rare gem. A big budget horror flick that's smart, gripping, and has a cast that's almost as impressive as my biceps. Directed by my boy David Fincher and bringing Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman and Kevin Spacey together on the big screen, Seven is the story of a young detective, his veteran partner, and their hunt for a sinister serial killer whose crimes were inspired by the 7 deadly sins. After discovering a man forced to eat himself to death, representing gluttony, a defense attorney killed after a pound of flesh was taken from him, representing greed, and a drug dealer kept on the brink of starvation, representing sloth, Pitt's Detective Mills and Freeman's Detective Somerset are eventually led to Spacey's John Doe, who has meticulously planned these murders for years. Doe escapes their first encounter, going on to complete his plans for lust and pride, leaving only envy and wrath remaining. As Mills and Somerset return to the police station, to their surprise, a bloody Doe turns himself in. He tells the pair that he'll take them to the 2 final victims and confess to the murders, but only if the detectives comply with his demands. If not, he'll plead insanity. They agree, and the killer leads them to a remote desert location. Soon after, a delivery driver arrives and gives Somerset a box. While this is happening, Doe smiles at Mills and tells him how jealous he is of him. His life, his wife, his home. In an insanely emotional scene that's enough to make anyone feel sick to their stomach, we find out that the box contains the head of Mills' wife, who, unbeknownst to him, was also pregnant. Devastated and enraged, Mills points his gun at Doe and kills him, and with this, the 7 deadly sins and Doe's master plan are complete. Depressing as all hell. I like to regularly remind people of this intensely harrowing moment in cinema by screaming, "What's in the box?" at any unsuspecting person carrying an unopened cardboard cube. You're welcome. I flipping hate small spaces. Even the idea of caving makes me a nervous wreck. So a horror movie based in a winding network of tight crawl spaces was bound to scare the crap out of me. But it's in The Descent's ending that the horror really hits home. Written and directed by Neil Marshall, who's best known for the cult classic Dog Soldiers and a few of the better episodes of Game of Thrones, the plot sees a group of female friends meet up for a spot of spelunking, also known as caving to people who don't want to sound like an idiot. Sarah, our main character, was in a car accident the year before which saw her daughter and husband die. Only Sarah and her friend Juno survived, but the two have barely seen each other until now. The group head into the caves, but the passage collapses behind them, trapping them inside. It's at this point Juno reveals that in some twisted attempt to repair her relationship with Sarah, she led them into an uncharted cave network, one where there's zero chance of rescue. Not only that, but the group soon discover that the caves are actually home to Gollum's extended family, and this time Smeagol's more interested in ripping out their throats than he is in any magical jewellery. As the women are picked off one by one in true horror movie fashion, it comes to light that not only was Juno a pretty crappy friend after Sarah lost her family, but she was also having an affair with Sarah's husband before the accident happened. Understandably, Sarah loses her shit, injures Juno and leaves her to be eaten alive. Fighting her way through hordes of preciouses, Sarah eventually escapes the caves and runs back to her car, panting and covered in blood. Except, no she hasn't, she hallucinated the whole escaping thing and is actually still stuck in the caves with the creatures slowly closing in on her. Next time someone tells you that, "and it was all a dream," is the worst way to end a story, force them to watch the ending of The Descent over and over until they puke on their shoes. I have no idea why, but I know a fair few people who aren't huge fans of The Mist. I absolutely love it, and while I know it's far from the best movie of all time, it's one of my most rewatched, if only for the incredible impact of its ending. Based on the novella by Stephen King, written and directed by Frank Darabont, and starring Thomas Jane, plus practically the whole cast of season 1 of The Walking Dead, The Mist is about, well, a mist? Above the rural town of Brigton, a secret military base conducts even secreter experiments. One day they accidentally open a portal to another universe, causing an alien world's atmosphere to leak through and terraform the local area, shrouding it in a thick mist. From the mist, extraterrestrial life forms emerge, threatening the town's population. Totally oblivious at this point, Thomas Jane's David Drayton kisses his wife goodbye and takes his 8-year-old son to the local supermarket. As they look for supplies to fix a broken window at their home, the store is surrounded by a rolling fog, leaving everyone inside terrified. What follows is a pretty fantastic commentary on American society, with the trapped townspeople splitting into two distinct political groups, each fighting for their own opinions on the situation. When they realise that the mist is full of carnivorous aliens, shit gets real Martin Lawrence style, and full-blown panic ensues. People fight, people die, some people even commit suicide, but eventually David, his son, and a small group of survivors venture outside. Safely hopping into a car, they drive back to David's house to find his wife dead, and decide to travel south in search of help. Driving past all kinds of creatures on the way, the car eventually runs out of gas, and the adults make a group decision to commit suicide. But there's one problem: David only has 4 bullets. He shoots the other adults, swiftly kills his son, and with an empty gun runs into the mist screaming in anguish, ready to accept his fate. Less than 30 seconds later, the mist clears, and a convoy of military rescue vehicles drives past. Oh my fucking god, but if you just wait... What the... Holy... What's your favourite depressing ending to a movie? Hit me up in the comments below and we can cry together. Don't forget to give this video a lovely little like, and as always, subscribe, motherfucker!